Hello everybody, it is Thursday, August 25th, 2022. I think when I posted on Instagram that I was going to be doing this live deal, I'm pretty sure that I posted the wrong date. So hopefully people figured it out. That's that. So anyway, welcome to the Ask Me Anything for the Linchpin private track. As always, I have curated the questions. It's a relatively easy week this week, to be honest with you. So we'll dive right in. Let's see. Melanie, appreciate it. All the way from Guyana. On the family vacation, still tuning in. Appreciate that. I never made it to Guyana. I've been all over South America, but I never made it to Guyana. Always wanted to. Okay, here we go. So, there's a couple most upvoted questions. First one is relatively simple, and the next one I'll dive in. That'll probably take a little bit. Oh, hello from South Wales as well. We're just worldwide right now. All right, so the first most upvoted question, well, it's the second one. I'm going to answer the second one first, then I'll circle back to the first one. I also cut my neck shaving right before I went on. This is from CW CrossFit. It says, what's your favorite and least... Oh, I missed the favorite part. What's your favorite and least favorite part or aspect of what you do? Programming, the Ask Me Anythings, varied not random, creating the videos for the workouts, doing a workout and loving it or hating it because it hit the right spot, etc., etc. So, South Lake Union. See that people checking in. So I saw it this morning, and I just saw the what's your least favorite part. My favorite part's easy, super easy. I mean, of all the stuff I've got to do to get all the content necessary out there for the private track, I mean, let's see, it's got to make sure we get in the workouts, obviously, and then there's not just the workout, but then once you actually figure out the workouts, there's all the variations of the workouts from prescribed, wild card, scaled, limited equipment option, no equipment option, goal times to be created for a couple of those, warm-ups to be given, all the demo movement videos need to be attached to the appropriate things, cool down, scaling, accessory work, all that good stuff. And then of course the daily videos that I record for each one of those has to be done as well, and all uploaded and organized, and the Facebook group and be on the whiteboard squads to be managed, and Instagram accounts and the Ask Me Anythings as mentioned, and then the Tuesday Instagram live that I do as well, of course the podcast with Adrian, the Varied Not Random, and etc., etc. Out of all that stuff, the favorite thing, easy. It's programming and creating the primary workout, which that primary workout is what everything else sprouts from. I mean, the warm-up comes from whatever we're doing that day for the workout. Whatever the wild card and the scaled and the Leo and the Neo will be come from the primary workout. What the accessory work will be depends upon what we did for the primary workout. And that the creating of the primary workout each day and how they all interplay and flow and all that, that's the most demanding and challenging, but it's certainly my favorite. By far my favorite. It's the biggest chunk of time, the biggest chunk of mental energy. It takes the most refining and polishing and polishing and polishing until it's finally just how I want it. But it's undoubtedly, I think, the most rewarding because I really enjoy it. I think it's a beautiful endeavor. So that's the favorite one for sure. Easy question. Least favorite part of everything that I have to do as well. That's an easy one also. My least favorite, any guesses? The warm-ups. It's always just a chore. And don't read into that the warm-ups are done with any less care, precision, and attention to detail as anything else. It's just when we're talking about the 57 different things that have to go into making the private track what it is, and then rank ordering those of higher passion to ones that just I got to do. The warm-ups don't just fire me up. I do them my best, make sure they're great, make sure everyone loves them, make sure all that. But it's more of a chore than, I might wake up in the morning excited to tackle another day of the primary programming and figure it out and what's going on. I don't wake up like that when it's the day to create the warm-ups, So I would say that's a fair assessment on both of those. And it's funny because even somebody like myself, like I said, I pour my heart and soul into the warm-ups as well, because I'm that person that I need a good warm-up. And I've been very cruel to my body over the years, not from CrossFit, from motorcycle wrecks and military accidents, that a intentionally designed warm-up is mission critical. But that does not mean that I have a huge degree of passion for creating them. So I would say, yeah, that's that. Okay. All right, so that was the simple, easy question. And the next question, which was the most highly upvoted question from John W., was just a simple, how are you doing? And, the backstory on that, what the world doesn't know, because I'm not, huge on just making big to-dos on social media about everything happening in my particular life or whatnot. But what is today as we record this? Thursday, so the private Facebook group, knows this. But on Monday, my father passed away. So I was up in Maine, which is where he lived, headed out there because I knew the end was near or whatnot. And so I spent all day Sunday with him. Then Monday morning, sadly, I found him, passed away in his bed. And so that kind of goes with the how are you doing, handling all that kind of stuff right now. And he, so getting back to the how are you doing question, this has, needless to say, sparked a whole bunch of stuff in my head that I'm going through. And not to make it this is not, fishing for sympathy and condolences and woe is me. This is a cycle of life that everyone has to deal with at one point in time. It's happening in my family right now. It is what it is. It's certainly, without question, appreciate all the kind words, condolence and all that. Genuinely, appreciate that. But, the purpose of this episode, if you will, is not to, for myself to have some sort of cathartic experience, and overshare a whole bunch of things. But I will say that what this experience has just illuminated again in my world is, since this is what I do for a full-time occupation, it has been for so long, it's been my all-consuming passion. I think CrossFit, fitness, nutrition, strength and conditioning, lifestyle choices, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Can't shut it off. It's just always cycling through my brain in one way, shape, or form. Then you have something like this occur where somebody is at the end of their life, and of course after it's said and done, you sift through it, as if it was a movie. You replay it and, what led to this point, what potentially could have been avoided or not been avoided. And it's hard not to just, explore some of those topics or whatnot, especially through the lens in which I see things on a regular basis. So that, I feel, has benefit to the larger audience at home, almost regardless of what age you are. So here, in no particular order, just some random things that have gone through my head, observations, lessons learned, etc., etc. So here we go. So let's see. Well, first and foremost, my father was a lifelong smoker. He smoked his entire life. Every memory I have growing up with him and whatnot was him just burning through Marlboros, any conceivable moment that he was awake. That's not going to do you any favors, right? So there's some lifestyle choices that have to be addressed here. And he had a couple different cancers at the end of his life, but one of them was lung cancer, and astonishingly severe. Let's go ahead and say that. Also had COPD, was on oxygen, etc., etc. But so the smoking, that that is, we can follow the breadcrumb trail for most people as to where that leads. On top of the smoking, and this is not, not throwing my father that just passed away under the bus. I'm just talking very fact-based about what do you do in this world and what happens, where do certain choices lead, etc., etc. And so lifelong smoker. On top of that, just had a sedentary lifestyle, overwhelmingly so. I knew him my entire life, and I never saw him exercise ever. It's not exaggeration, not once. He had a sedentary job, and so it wasn't like he was being physical with his occupation or whatnot. And so you combine lifelong smoking, a sedentary lifestyle, and then diet and nutrition, let's just say, was not good. A plethora of TV dinners, or what most people I think would generally consider less than ideal nutritional choices. And so now you take lifelong smoking, sedentary lifestyle, and then not great nutrition, and if you do live a very long, healthy, high quality life, I would say that you've beat the odds. And most people aren't going to beat the odds, and my father was not any different. He didn't beat the odds. I will also say, plenty of people have been around family members or friends at the end of their lives, or seen people affected by cancer or other debilitating diseases, things of that nature. If you haven't, good on you. But I'll tell you what I saw, the human being that I once know, and then what I saw at the end of this individual's life with what these choices did to their physical well-being, their level of frailty, their mental cognition, their ability to communicate, their ability to be mobile. Like you name any of the things that you would want to hold on to and want to maintain for as long as you could, everything I saw was the opposite of what you would want. You wouldn't want anything based upon what I saw. It would be the opposite. And so again, all these things add up, right? And of course this all links back in my head as to how I think about, CrossFit and working out and all this stuff and doing what we do and like genuinely trying to make good decisions for long-term health and fitness. And I might be messing up an old Glassman quote, and maybe it's not a quote that was in a journal, just something that I've heard him say, plenty of times. I'm going to mess it up a bit. But, CrossFit defined fitness, as work capacity across broad time and modal domains, your ability to do work and do work quickly, right? And then it said that health was basically fitness across your lifetime. It was work capacity across broad time, age, and modal domains. And so that was fitness across your lifetime, your ability for as long as you could to have a high degree of work capacity. And if you have a high degree of work capacity, that means you can move your body, you can go from seated to standing, you can pick things up off the ground, you can locomote, you can do all the things that you would want. And so fitness across your lifetime. Pretty darn good definition of health, if you ask me, and a pretty darn good goal for all of us to chase. And that's not associated with a particular Fran time or a particular deadlift or a particular anything. But then one of the things after a while that Greg added to that, and again I can't remember if it was in text or just in conversation, but it was basically that health was your fitness across your life plus luck. And that luck aspect was an interesting thing, because the luck aspect basically meant that maybe you did everything right to the best of your ability. You tried to eat really well. You tried to do intelligent exercise and strength and conditioning and listen to your body and take rest days and all the stuff. And you really actually did it quite well. But maybe that luck component is somewhere in your family tree or your genetics, there's something evil looming in there, and at some point in time it jumps up and bites you, even though to the best of your ability you tried to stack the deck in your favor. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Like, that sucks. That's not fair. There are some things that happen in life that it's not fair. And so I actually thought he was really on to something with health being fitness across your life, fitness across all of your ages, plus luck. Now, and you may or may not know if that luck component is going to bite you in the butt or not, if there's something in your family history that's going to come up or not. So, you can't control luck. So that's why it just comes back to, for most of us, under most circumstances, most of the time, there are certain things that we can control. And your genetics and DNA might not be one of them, but the nutritional choices that you make and the strength and conditioning choices that you make and all the other factors that you choose to have in your life, from what you consume or don't consume, sleep patterns and all that, how you deal with stress, the people that you have around you, your friends, your support network, your relationships with other people, all of that stuff, that's what we can control. And to the best of our ability, we might as well stack the deck in our favor, because we don't know what's coming down the pike. So, now I actually don't have cancer in general running in my family, and like I said, it's quite obvious why that happened to my father, based upon being a lifelong smoker and all that stuff. But of course, like I said, all this stuff got my mind spinning. And let's see, for Linchpin and just in general, we've been very vocal about our focus being long-term health and fitness for regular people, right? Don't really care about competitors, don't really care about competition, don't really care about that stuff. Care about real people with busy lives who, to the best of their ability, want to set themselves up for success with long-term health and fitness. And that's what I've been saying before my father passed away, and I will say that since he's passed away, that has only refocused, sharpened, and crystallized, why we do and why we're going to continue to focus on the things that we focus on, have been for years. Nothing's about to change. It's just more solid than ever. Doing smart things, sustainable strength and conditioning that yields steady, long-term, just consistent improvement, without overtraining you, without beating up your knees, back, and shoulders, which are the only ones you have for the rest of your life, through unnecessary lifting every day or inappropriate loadings because, I don't know, it's something that happened in a competition. Now we need to start chasing that. No, we don't. No, we do not. We're going to continue to do smart things. And the other thing that struck me was what I don't think a lot of people realize, especially because social media is so intoxicating and toxic at the same time, and you see everyone doing just what seems like so much work, and you think that's what you need to do, right? But you don't. You have to actually do so little to be in really amazing shape that I don't think most people would believe you. It does not take much. That's the God's honest truth. But you got to show up every day and do the work. The consistency pays off. And you're not going to be consistent if you're not enjoying what you're doing, if you're not surrounded by good people, and if you're unnecessarily beating yourself up, you're not going to be consistent. And so today is Thursday, so I worked out Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Even while I traveled, I made it happen. Even in that terrible situation that I was in, dealing with my dad and all that stuff, like I found some time each day to work out, because I understand how I do, and I understand the quality of life that I do want to have in the future decades of my life, and I understand that the choices I make every day right now have an immediate and direct impact on what that's going to be. And I also understand that each day I could find a wonderful reason as to why the day was too busy and why I couldn't work out. I could also somehow make it happen, and so the choice was to make it happen. And so I just tracked from Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, how much time did I actually spend working out? And the funny thing is, not that much. Now, I know I'm not going to the CrossFit Games, right? But compared to most people walking the planet, all of us are in amazing shape, like way better shape than you actually need to be. Let's be honest. You have way more physical capacity. You can probably, even if you're not happy with your squat and your deadlift and your Fran time, it's all more than you need to do anything you're going to face today or tomorrow on planet Earth. So we're all crushing it, right? You're doing really well. But I looked at how much time did I spend Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday working out. Monday was the 7x2 clean and jerk. Where I was, I didn't have a barbell. I did have some things that I could do the limited equipment option, so that's what I did. It took me about 30 minutes, okay? So I spent about 30 minutes working out on Monday. Tuesday was that double under V-up bar muscle up deal, the 3-rounder. And I didn't have a jump rope, but I did jumping jacks instead, and I did some workarounds for the bar muscle ups. I can't remember exactly what that took me, but I think it took me about 18 minutes. So ballpark 18 minutes. Then yesterday I was home and I did that EMOM slice of hell that all of us did, where with the dumbbell burpees, the dumbbell thrusters, and then calories on the air bike. That was miserable. I added up how much time I spent doing dumbbell burpees, how much time I spent doing dumbbell thrusters, and how much time I spent on the bike. So then I added up all the actual time I spent working out on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and it was a total of 58 minutes. That's for 3 days. 58 minutes of working out. Not one day. That's over the course of 3 days. So I divide that by 3. That means on average, each day I worked out 19.3 minutes. 19.3 minutes. That's it. And again, that's an average. But point being, you don't have to spend a ton of time working out to be in really tremendous shape. You just need to spend that time intelligently and wisely doing something that actually works. And if it's not Linchpin, do something else. But if you're doing something, make sure you're doing something that somebody put a lot of time, thought, and effort into, so that you're going to get the most bang for your buck and not waste your darn precious time. But you do not need a lot of time to be in fantastic shape. Period. End of story. And then the other part of that is obviously, good nutritional choices as well. But it just it got me thinking about, what's important, and what we do is simple, not easy, right? Working out's relatively simple, but it's not easy. It takes some effort and discipline to not sit on the couch, because the couch is really comfortable and Netflix is really entertaining and junk food's really tasty and dumbbell thrusters really sting. And so it's easy to make a choice to not do dumbbell thrusters. I get that. But making the choice to do dumbbell thrusters has a payoff, a delayed gratification, if you will, so that down the road you're probably going to be very happy that you made these choices, both in a strength and conditioning aspect and from a nutrition aspect. So again, to the best of your ability, you tried to stack the deck in your favor. And if some bad luck befalls you, well, that was to some degree out of your control. But to the best of your ability, stack that deck. That kind of is what jumped into my mind. And I've also said this before, and it also, seeing what happened with my father and how quickly he deteriorated and how poor his quality of life was and how frail he was and all those just terrible things, it also just popped into my head again something which we've said before, which is, do you realize that if you do make those choices to work out and to eat well, not even to be at beach, just work out and eat well, with every 5 years that goes by, you are in a more elite and a more elite category. Because it's kind of like the tortoise and the hare. A lot of people start off fast and furious. They're the hare. They're going to do 17 different sessions a day. Got my Olympic lifting thing on the side. I got this going on. It's unsustainable, and they burn out. And then you've got the tortoise that just did something simple that worked, and it was sustainable, and it wasn't overwhelming, and they're still doing it 5 years later. And then another 5 years go by, and they're still doing it. Well, with every 5 years that go by, more people have dropped off, or they've quit, or they've lost interest, or they injured themselves, or they got burnt out. So with every 5 years that goes by, I don't care what your deadlift is, I don't care what your squat is, I don't care what your Fran time is, you are winning. You are in a more elite and a more elite group with every 5 years that goes by, because the amount of people who've stuck with it are significantly reduced every darn year. So consistency goes a huge way. And we've got a family friend. My in-laws have this friend. His name escapes me right now. Steve. I want to say his name is Steve. He is almost 70. He's not a CrossFitter at all. But he just pays attention to what he eats, and he lifts weights. That's all he does. And actually lifts weights, barbells. And when he shows up with all the other people his age that stopped working out decades ago, because again, most people quit, he looks like he's a different species of human being. He does not look like he's the same as these people standing to his left and to his right. It's such a remarkable difference in his physique, because he still pays attention to how he moves and how he eats, and all the other little nuances from just mental acuity, confidence, how he carries himself, the whole 9 yards. It's so obvious when you see the two contrasted right next to each other. If you'd ask most people, point to which one of those people you want to be when you're almost 70. It's a really easy decision. It's a super easy decision. And all of that starts years before where we are right now, whether you're 25, 35, 45, or 55. If you haven't already been doing it, start now. Start making good decisions with your body, and you will be very happy down the road that you did to the best of your ability. Okay, so let's see. And the other thing that just popped in my head, again, random things are just popping in my head with this, life event that occurred, is, what can you do to make sure that people actually stick with it, right? You stick with it for a month, whoop-de-doo. We want you sticking with it for 5, 10, 25 years. And I think, we're very vocal about this at Linchpin. You should do darn near whatever you need to do to stick with it. And I seriously mean that, but I'll give you some examples that popped in my head and I just kind of scratched them down. So let's say as the years go by, your workouts evolve or you modify them as the years pass. Who cares? As long as you stick with it. That's the end point there. So at some point, let's say, butterfly pull-ups don't treat your shoulders anymore. You did them for a while because all the comp guys and girls were doing it and it was a cool thing to do, and shave some time off the bar, and after a while you're like, butterfly pull-ups don't treat my shoulders well anymore. I'm going to stop doing them. Great! Stop doing them. Who cares? Butterfly pull-ups are not important. What is important is doing pull-ups. I don't care what style you do. Butterfly, C-kip, gymnastics kip, strict pull-ups. You use a band, you do ring rows, you do seated pull-ups, but that's sort of an upper body pull. That's what matters. Butterfly pull-ups, they don't matter. They don't matter. Handstand push-ups. This is an interesting one. My wife, who I say all the time, I brag on her, way fitter than me, former D1 gymnast, games athlete. She can do kipping and strict handstand push-ups all day. She recently turned 40, and kipping handstand push-ups just don't feel good on her body and neck anymore. And so she doesn't do kipping handstand push-ups anymore. She still does handstand push-ups, she just does them strict. So what does that mean when a workout comes up like Diane, deadlifts and handstand push-ups? That means that she will never get near her old PR ever again because it was done with kipping handstand push-ups. And she also realizes, who cares? Because she's still doing deadlifts and she's still doing an awesome, complicated, challenging pressing movement in a strict handstand push-up. And so she's winning. She's fantastic. And so you can make those decisions. If you don't like doing handstand push-ups, also totally good to go. Do a strict shoulder press. You're winning. You're going to be just fine. So again, modify these things in any way, shape, or form that keeps you in the game. Do whatever you got to do to keep yourself in the game. It also means getting the ego the heck out of there as well. Maybe your knees and hips don't feel good, so at some point in time, you just don't really run anymore. That's a shame. Running's awesome, but if you're always just going to be on the bike or rower, I would rather have you always be on the bike or rower than just stop working out. And so again, okay, you don't run anymore. Who cares? It's okay. You can find a different thing to do. At some point in time, the squat snatch just doesn't feel good on you. Range of motion's too much. It makes your shoulders achy. It just doesn't feel good. Oh, that's a shame. This is a fantastic movement. Tons of great benefit, but we can give you a different complicated movement. We can get an explosive hip opening somewhere else. We can get you below parallel some other way. We can get you stabilizing a load overhead some other way. It's all good. Do kettlebell swings and press overhead and do some squats and we'll be okay. We can find a workaround. And that's why we say it doesn't matter how much you squat. What matters is that you are pursuing squatting. That's what matters. And I think it can be really easy to lose sight of that on social media, where everyone's got to outdo everybody else and more is better and all that stuff. That's not the case. So don't let that deter you from what the goal is. The goal is making intelligent decisions that you can be in this game long-term health and fitness. That's what we're going for. Embrace scaling, remove ego, and win at life. And don't quit, right? Don't quit. And so how do you not quit? Maybe that's another good question as well. And I wrote out, doing something well thought out that works and is sustainable. Can't emphasize that enough. But then also you got to find your people. And I brag on the Linchpin community all the time. Those are not just empty words. The Linchpin community is amazing. Find your people, wherever that happens to be. I would love for it to be at Linchpin, but if it's not, you got to find some crew that will support you positively, get behind you, help you make good decisions, pick you up when you're down, because life is a team sport. Life's not a solo sport. And so find your community, find your crew, and they're going to be mission critical to you not quitting and helping you make some good decisions. And then what popped into my head, and this is kind of wrapping it up here at the end, which is obviously I'm biased, to Linchpin. But let's ask the question, what's the best training program for you? And I have a great answer for that, and it's not mine, so I'm not being biased. It came from Adrian Bosman, one of the sharpest people that I know in CrossFit. Sharp in general, as a matter of fact. And I'm paraphrasing a bit, but basically Adrian has this great line that he says, the best training program for you is the one that you actually stick with. And as simple as that is, it's totally true. And he kind of contrasts that with hey, let's say there's 2 training programs, and how you would exactly quantify this is a rabbit hole we don't need to go down. But you've got this first training program that is scientifically and blah, blah, blah proven. It is the best strength and conditioning program on the face of the earth. You will get the best gains, period, end of story, from this one. But here's the problem. You don't enjoy it. And you don't like the people to do it with you. And it brings you a little bit of dread, and it doesn't make you smile. But it delivers the goods, but it's just a miserable grind every day that I hate doing. It's agony. And then you have this other training protocol that if that first one was an A+, well, let's say this one is a B. It's a solid B. But here's the deal. You love everything about it. It makes you smile. It's easy to show up to. And because of that, you stick with it your whole darn life and you don't quit. Whereas that other one, you weren't going to stay with it because it was work and you hated it. So what's the best training program for you? It's the one that you actually stuck with. It's so you check in with somebody and they're like, yeah, I was in this amazing training program 10 years ago. Oh yeah, how's it going? Well, I don't do it anymore. I hated it. It was terrible. I haven't worked out in 9 years. Well, that's not doing anyone any favors. And then this other person's like, yeah, I got a good crew, and we do good things every day, and I've been doing it for 15 years. Life's great. Winning. So wherever it is, find the training program, the community, the whatever, that for whatever reason, it speaks to you. You love it. You enjoy the people. You enjoy the workouts, and that makes you stick with it so that you don't quit. Find wherever that is for you, and hold on to it for dear life. That would be my recommendation. So, yeah, that's it. That's how I'm doing. That's my answer to John W.'s question as to how you're doing. So, thank you, John. Good question. And I'm right there with you. These are not empty words. I'm right there with you, sweating through the workouts every day, doing what's effective, not what's popular, and we're in this together, and we will make it to the finish line together. That's what I'm here for. And I guess we'll just end it with some quick housekeeping. I do still intend, it's a bit more confirmed if you will, to be going to the Rogue Invitational this year. Austin, Texas, I believe. Is it Austin? It's in Texas. And it's the end of October. Last year it ended on Halloween, which the invitation was great, but I was sad that I did not get to go trick-or-treating with my kids on Halloween night. That saddened me. This year, I think it ends the day before Halloween. so I'll actually be able to come home and be with the kids and not miss trick-or-treating. So that's really cool. And I will, as far as I know, be working in some capacity at the Rogue Invitational. I can't say in what capacity as of yet, but I think it's going to be in a capacity that will allow me a fair deal of flexibility and interaction, meaning if anybody from the global Linchpin community would love to go to the Rogue Invitational, you should, because it's an awesome event that you would just love, period. But we can link up, we can meet up, we can be there on premise, we can share a cup of coffee, share some laughs, have some great conversation. There'll probably be some place to do a workout, and all of you crazy beasts can just, smash me in a workout, and it would be my honor to get smashed by you. And so that's that. And then finally, be prepared. This is the end of August, but next September there will be another Linchpin challenge, and it will be Linchpin Test 1. If you're unfamiliar with Linchpin Test 1, my apologies. You can find it if you go to CrossFitLinchpin.com, click on the workouts or tests tab, and you can see all the Linchpin tests. We'll be doing one each month. So that's it. Have a wonderful day. Thanks to everybody for being amazing. Forget it. Won't get all emotional at the end here, but the kind words, the support, the authenticity that has been shown by the Linchpin community, especially when life punches you in the face every now and then, has been above and beyond. And not just for me. I mean, we've got a huge community that everyone's in some phase of their life. There's always somebody dealing with something, and on a regular basis, the support and positivity is through the roof. And I just want you to know it's very much appreciated. So that's it. Have a great day, and we will talk later.